I am Bree Feingold Africa, and it may take you a long time to understand me, but I know that you will never get over me. So I'm going to sing you a song, just try to get you a little oriented, try to keep up. I used to feel gravelly, gray and gritty. My skin was sandpaper, my self-image itty-bitty. My hair wouldn't bounce and it wouldn't behave. My legs didn't know what it meant to be shaved. Then one day I realized my lack of luster was idealized. I looked bad because I believed that I was ordinary. Ordinary. Then one day the sun came out, my lips were in a pretty little pout, my skin was like dew and my eyes were sky blue. I looked in the glass and I had to make a pass at my own sweet heart-shaped ass. I'm pretty, so pretty, I'm beautiful too. I'm fabulous, miraculous, and you would be too if you were me. A diva extraordinaire, a Georgia peach, a Bartlett pear, a jewel fit for Liz Taylor. The boys all wanna nail her. I'm a babe and a pip and a star. Divine ordinance can't be far. Oh, mama, mama, what were you thinking? Sending me out for cigarettes while you were up drinking. You should have been teaching me how to sashay. You could have been shooing my suitors away. But no, I've lost 20 years of my life believing my fate was to be a drab housewife. Not a babe, not a pip, not a star, whose divine ordinance can't be far. Now I know I'm a perfectly fabulous, sinfully miraculous, raised in Annapolis, acing the calculus, shockingly vacuous, needily ravenous, utterly powerless diva.
It is 1977. I am at the Hollywood Bowl. This is the most anticipated night of my whole life. Bless you. I am wearing my platform candy slip-ons and my off-the-shoulder top that has lust bedazzled across my boobs. I did it myself. Next to me is my boyfriend, Larry, gay. His best friend, Paul, gay. Paul's straight girlfriend, Debbie Klinger, and my gay best friend, Stephen. It's the Star-Spangled Night for Rights concert, a fundraiser to fight that hideous, homophobic, orange juice slinging, homophobic Anita Bryant. I am 19. It's the first time I get to actually see in person my lifelong idol, Bette Midler. Bette Midler on stage in the flesh. Bette Midler. This was the night I had looked forward to forever. The night that I had flipped eggs on campus for 2 months to afford. And tonight, finally, sitting in the brisk stench of the Los Angeles Amphitheater, I was going to see as the big finale of the whole night, not one, but two of the major players in the story of my life, Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin. Bette and Lily, Lily and Bette, the human Reese's peanut butter cup of what I imagined I would become. The concert started with the Lockers, a group of young black popping breakdancers. Then Tom Waits, and then the brilliant Richard Pryor. Richard was in rare form. He was sharp as a knife and high as a kite. He started out funny, but when his mild gay baiting got a little bit too offensive, he started losing the gay audience. Then he got pissed. He accused the audience of not being all-inclusive. "How can fags be racist?" he yelled. "I thought since this was a night for human rights, there'd be some human beings here." The gays' boos got louder and more high-pitched. I was freaking out. I was panicked that this outburst would somehow affect my night, my performance with Lily and Bette, the two women who practically birthed me. He continued to rant to the shocked crowd. "Where were you faggots when niggas burned down Watts?" Uh-oh. He said the F word. Gay booing like you have never heard. I sat there stunned. In my 1970s politically correct thought process, I wondered, is he right? Should I feel guilty? But all I thought was, what do you mean? How could these little gay men have prevented niggas burning down Watts? What could the gay-friendly and gays have done when Watts was burning themselves down? What, the hustle, amyl poppers, what? Richard left the stage with one last bombshell. "You can all kiss my rich black ass." The mood of the concert went to hell in a man bag, and my heart sank. As much as I like Richard Pryor's great. I did not want him fucking up my three-way with Lily and Bette. The clearly shaken Bette finally entered the stage with her retort, "Who here wants to kiss my rich white ass?" The crowd went wild. I could tell she was upset, and the lining of my heart was shredding for her. She limply sang a few songs, and it all kind of fell flat. It was a bummer in the air that you could feel. Finding my place. Oh, it kind of fell flat. It's what you could feel. Oh, and then, see, I'm still bummed right now. And then the concert was over. The night that I had had wet dreams about for years was ruined just like that. Richard had peed on it and it fizzled. I felt a crazy panic, like I feel when I'm playing video poker and I need to win my money back with just one more hand. Or when I can't stand the party to end without just one more round of running charades. Or come on everybody, it's 2 a.m. Who wants to go have breakfast at Denny's? Desperate, I did the only thing I could think to do. I broke free from my friends and I ran. This is a true story. I climbed onto an enormous dirt mountain perched over the stage. I took a huge breath and I jumped onto Tom Waits' piano. True. A guard saw me hit the boards and he started after me, a 180-pound girl wearing 4-inch platform shoes, galloping like a fucking fugitive. I bolted backstage. I was frantic. I was opening every single door, one after another. I knew Bette was in there somewhere, and I was going to find her. All right, behind me, the guard is still chasing me, and then, big, burly Aaron Russo, Bette's boyfriend/manager, joined the chase. They were both huge and fast and right at my heels. I am out of breath. I'm pulling open every door I could come to and slamming them shut, and then opening my 100th door. There she was, Bette, like a mirage, my dream in the flesh, my fantasy BFF. She was sitting on a ripped couch, smoking what was left of a cigarette. And when I saw her, I gasped. Oh! Still clearly shaken, she looked up. "Hello," she said. "Hi, I love you," I said crazily. "Thanks," she said, one brow lifted. I turned to go. "Wait, what's your name?" "Kathy." "Thanks, Kathy." You're welcome, Bet. Ouch! They yanked my exposed bra strap. The angry guard and Pitbull Russo grabbed me and literally dragged me off by my rhinestones. That was the first time that I met Bette Midler. It was a long time coming. I grew up in San Diego, a lower-class, frizzy-haired, plump Lebanese girl who never got cast in any plays ever. The first time I saw Bette was on The Tonight Show on TV. She shook and shimmied and sang out as if she was the queen of her own parallel universe. The opposite of the ladylike, follow-the-rules showbiz women we had gotten used to. Bette had big breasts, but they didn't subtly peek out in a playful, bashful, flirty way, like a proper TV lady. No, Bette proudly let them fly, and she moved around the stage like a penguin on meth. I am sure I was not the only 14-year-old Zoptic girl shaken to the core by her. I grew up watching Joan Rivers, Toady Fields, Phyllis Diller, all really talented, funny women. But we only let them be funny, one kind of funny. We accepted them, we laughed at them on one condition, that they made fun of themselves. That was the law for funny women then. They were not perfect, they were not skinny, they were not waspy looking, they actually looked like most of us. But we made them popular and successful only if they talked about how fat or stupid or old or ugly or undesirable they were. But that was about to change, because that night, with no apologies, balls out right there on our shitty TV set with the plastic dial to change the 3 shitty UHF channels, was Bette. My fantasy was that someday Bette would call me at home. I'm 14, I'm sitting under my revolving black light over my $35 waterbed on my orange fake fur shag bedspread. I am singing along to Bette's Skylark, my framed Thighs and Whispers album cover on the wall, and the phone rings. It's Bette. She says, "Hi, Kathy. I heard you like my music and I want you to come over immediately." And of course, I go over, and she opens the door in a Hawaiian tunic, twirling poi balls, and says, "Oh my God, what took you so long? I am so bored, and there is no one as funny and witty and insightful as you, Kathy, and certainly no one who gets my music as much as you do. Listen to my latest album, tell me what you think, and maybe sing backup on a tune or two. Come on in, Kathy, tour with me, and let's be best friends." In 1979, I am 19. I am working for a company called Live Wire's Singing Telegrams. I am delivering telegrams as a bunny, not a Hefner bunny, but a big, white, furry bunny. My second gay boyfriend, Greg, who was then a fledgling costume designer and went on to win a couple Tonys, had designed Alice in Wonderland, and he gave me the big furry bunny outfit. That fall, Greg and I took the bus up to the Greek Theater in LA with the huge bunny suit on our laps to see Bette. At intermission, right there on the cement steps, Greg helped me put on the suit, painted my nose black with eyeliner, attached my whiskers with painful spirit gum, and there I sat, a white, furry mass for the whole second act. At the end of the show, I went backstage to find the promoter, waving my official Live Wire's card. "I have a singing telegram for Bette Midler." "Wait here." I waited there for about 45 minutes. I watched wide-eyed as my then idea of famous people walked by. It was so exciting. It was Sylvester Stallone and Susan Anton, who were a couple then. Melissa Manchester, who was one of her ex-harlots. Calvin Klein and one of his pretend girlfriends. All of these famous people, I couldn't hardly breathe when I saw them. I waited and waited forever in the big, hot, furry bunny suit, and then finally, "Hey, bunny, you can come back now." Greg was ushered out to wait with the chauffeurs by the limo. I was hopping up and down at the door of Bette's dressing room, screaming, "Telegram, telegram!" Because she was only 5'1" and I wanted her to see me. She is wearing a little muumuu house dress with the faux famous taller people surrounding her. She looks up and sees a nearly 200-pound furry bunny jumping and screaming, and she shrieks, "Oh my God!" I walk in, I hopped in, I sang a song I had written for her called Jazz Hot Congratulations. And Bet stood there, stunned at the sight of this huge rabbit dancing and hopping on her dressing room couch. I handed her the telegram, which read, "Bet, I love you," from Kathy. I gave her a very overheated furry bunny hug and hopped out to where Greg was waiting with the chauffeurs, and I passed out cold on the lawn. I am living in New York. It's now 1984, standing in line all night in the rain to see Bet's new film, Beaches. We were so excited to see Beaches. We all piled into the very first row. The film started. We were staring at the screen, watching Bet playing an aspiring actress who worked as a big, white, furry, singing telegram bunny. Can you believe it? It wasn't like a Playboy bunny or an Easter bunny. It was literally that bunny. It was my bunny. I screamed, "Oh my God, that's me!" My friends and I lost our shit. We were, "Oh my God, Bet stole that from you." Oh my God, we couldn't believe it. We were screaming and grabbing each other and hugging and spilling popcorn everywhere. I ended up having to see the whole movie twice because from that moment on, the screen went blank for me. I saw nothing, I heard nothing. Just the narration in my head, the justification of my fantasy. Yes, Kathy, you have influenced her life. Yes, you two were meant to be. She stole your bunny. Yes, she is your best friend. Awesome. It is 1990. I had just finished filming my fourth film, Sister Act. I'm sitting on the still orange fake fur bedspread on my new waterbed. The phone rings. It's not Bet. It's Jeffrey Katzenberg, the head of Disney. He does not want me to come over and be his best friend or watch his movies with him and give him notes. And this time it is not a fantasy. He wants to know if I want to star in Hocus Pocus as Bette Midler's sister.
Ladies and gentlemen, normally it's too dangerous for you to try to sing along with my originals, but for this one you might know it, so please. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle, with you as the wind beneath my wings. Thank you.
I think I might hate Twitter. I say I think because I'm not sure, probably owing to the fact that I don't understand what Twitter is all the way. It's meant, as I understand it, as a means of connecting friends or subscribers, 140 characters at a time. It seems like an all-or-nothing thing to me. Those who use it well are on it all the time, sending a dozen or more messages a day. You can tell who uses it well by how many followers they have, the number of people who've signed up to read their tweets. I have friends with tens of thousands of followers. I believe I may have 200. Many of my friends greatly exceed a dozen posts or tweets a day. In fact, for some, I think it's taken over their lives. I have friends who just got married and live tweeted every moment of their entire Hawaiian honeymoon. Honestly, I thought a couple of times I was going to read, "We're doing it, feels great." Twitter involves this sort of creepy lurking that we may very well find in time to be unhealthy. It has, even in the past few months, even in the few months that I've been a part of it, caused some uncomfortable situations for me. Like, I think it's weird to go up to a woman you know only casually and refer to something private, or at least something would have been private had she not posted a picture of it for the entire world, present and future, to see. I'm not talking about sex. It's worse than that. I feel it's creepy seeing her and saying, "Boy, that sure was a big plate of broccoli they brought to your infant daughter at that restaurant last night." I'm not nearly as married to being connected as many I know, but I guess I must be bad enough about it. It's gotten to the point where every time I shift in my seat, my wife Beth looks put out and says, "Do you have to take that?" Assuming that my phone is on vibrate in my pocket. My phone is on vibrate in my pocket. It always is. It is right now. But sometimes I'm just moving. And I don't check it every time it buzzes. Actually, in an endearing way, that's also how I can tell when Beth thinks that Beth has said something funny. She'll say something, I'll move. She'll say, "Are you twittering what I just said? Are you twittering what I just said?" I never am. I have friends who don't leave their houses anymore, who tweet every breath they take. I know that they're still alive only because of their tweets. With several of these, I cannot help but fear that they will be found dead in their homes someday amid stacks of computer equipment, their desiccated corpse stuck to what was once, I'm sure, a kick-ass video game chair. The only remaining sign of life, a lonely Roomba still knocking about. Its battery half dead, vacuuming for no one. Twitter and connective technology in general are killing both our communication and creativity. My wife's aunt is in town. She's a retired elementary educator, and we've talked a lot this week about early childhood education. She didn't confirm this. In fact, we didn't talk about it specifically. But I think she would agree with me that kids are getting dumber with each passing moment. And that's coming from a teacher. That kids are getting so dumb is in no small part because they are simply not often enough told to go outside. Do what? Doesn't matter. Go outside. I volunteer with this charity that helps students ages 6 to 18 in Los Angeles learn to write. I suppose the kids get a lot out of it, but I do it because I'm an amazing person. We had a field trip today during which the kids collectively write a story. At the beginning, they're asked what kinds of characters should be in the story. For what feels like 6 hours, but is in reality, I'm sure, only a minute or two, the kids try to pass off Harry Potter, Power Rangers, and Powerpuff Girls as original ideas. The staff is very skilled about guiding them back towards originality, instead of doing what I might, which is screaming, that shit is made up already, you idiots. What are you, first graders? They are, as it happens, first graders. Instead, I sit out of sight and lightheartedly bark orders at the children through the guise of the misanthropic grizzly publisher, through a microphone, over a loudspeaker. It seems to be my role in a lot of my life. The program is very successful, yet in the rest of their lives, I know these kids' imaginations are not properly nurtured. My imagination is unbelievable. My imagination would blow your mind. Though perhaps not in a good way. I think because I've watched too much television, I am able to envision disaster at any moment of any day. Last weekend, my wife and her aunt went on a trip up the coast. Beth has been working a ton and therefore has been exhausted lately, so I became concerned when I didn't hear from her when she got to Big Sur late Saturday night. The rational part of my brain is able to surmise she's fine. She probably just doesn't have cell service up there. But the other 98% of me, fattened on a heavy diet of Law and Order, Criminal Minds, and the First 48, knows for certain she's dead. She fell asleep at the wheel and careened over the edge, or she stopped to help some hiker find his dog, but that hiker is a liar and he doesn't even have a dog, might not even like dogs. And my wife is now dead. I'm not proud of it, but my mind really does go full bore down that road. I did a number of things, including looking into activating the Verizon Family Locator function on her phone, but I found out you need to download some application to the locatee's handset in order to spy on them. It's really inconvenient. I finally broke down and called her hotel, saying that I needed to speak to a guest, only to be told there are no phones in the rooms at this hotel. I was incensed. Really? I asked. Really? Said the imbecile on the other end. I felt like screaming, "And you're okay with that?" I know that I could have asked him if my wife had checked in or if he had seen her car or whatever, but I also know my wife well enough to know that if that had gotten back to her, she would have been pissed. So instead, I worried all night. My wife, if you believe her, spent years without a television, and she came out pretty well adjusted, with the possible exception of her compulsive need to say the words, "I spent years without a television," every time it comes up, and a lot of times when it doesn't. So I guess I'm both. At times, I crave connectivity. Others, I want some privacy and off-the-grid time. I wish I were quicker to try a new restaurant without first consulting its reviews on Yelp. I remember a time when you'd drive across the country and not call until you got there, days later. Now we can maintain an open line the entire trip. Speaking of which, what the hell kind of cell phone plan must cab drivers have? My God. Come to think of it, this isn't the first time since I've been on the planet that technology has threatened to lessen our quality of life. The same thing happened years ago when my mother got her first camcorder. It wasn't the first on the block. My father always waited until the price of consumer electronics came down, way down. But it was an 8mm video camera we got in probably 1985. Whenever we would have people over for whatever, a birthday, Christmas, the Super Bowl, my mother would videotape everything. She'd just stroll around the house, camera rolling, and step right into the middle of a conversation and say, "So here are John and Uncle Tom. What are you two talking about? Oh, there's Patty wearing a new dress. Where'd you get that?" "From you, Aunt Sharon." "Oh, I thought that looked familiar." Then the camera would linger uncomfortably for no reason. The point is what happened next. She would tape the first half of whatever function we were having, then press rewind, plug it into the television, call everyone into the living room, press play, and make everyone watch the footage of them from just now, all over again in real time. I was probably 15 at the time and slightly more mouthy and slightly less ignorant than I am now. I told my mother that she was living only half a life now that she was doubling back to do instant replay every 5 minutes. She told me to go outside.
They got a lot of TV channels in this town, showing cars blowing up and starlets going down. But the one that's got me sweaty is Channel 269. It makes me feel there's something wrong with my mind. The Freudian channel will analyze you.
I wasn't sure if that was the end of the analysis. This is a piece I call Tits of Steel. In my mid-20s, back when my husband and I were single, or BC, before children, we went to visit my family in Louisiana, and I bought a T-shirt at a tourist shop on Bourbon Street. On the shirt was a chart showing the 50 types of tits one might see during Mardi Gras. Now, during Mardi Gras, many women will show their tits in exchange for plastic beads or fake gold coins. Shh! Don't tell all those nice fellas shelling out real dough at the titty bars. They'll do it for fake coins. I could afford to buy a novelty tee at a tourist shop without shame because I am from New Orleans, see? Well, actually, from a town 20 miles outside of New Orleans, but who cares? The important thing was I would be wearing the shirt ironically. Being in my mid-20s, married, yet single, and reasonably firm, I could afford such irony. I was confident that the T-shirt would look good on me. My breasts were a cross between the two most desirable tits on the shirt, as I saw it, grapefruits and oranges, with a perky splash of chin ticklers. Woe to those irony-craving girls armed with actual pointy carrots or sad pendulous cucumbers. They could never pull off such an ironic, sex-positive, post-feminist feat as I did in my tacky tourist tite T-shirt. I hadn't always had such wondrous, fulsome hubcaps. I grew up not showing my tits at Mardi Gras because only trashy broads did that. And besides, I had none to show. Probably mostly because I had none to show. When I was a teenager, I had severe asthma, and my doctor prescribed Theophylline, which is like hardcore pharmaceutical speed. And he prescribed it to keep me breathing and alive. And Theophylline was like ballet and a capsule. He called it a capsule. Can you take a capsule? I said, I don't know. Hidden Valley Ranch. Anyway, it kept me from menstruating until age 16 and a half. Pubes and boobs were put into layaway. I graduated from high school, 75 pounds, with a negative AAA cup. Finally, though, around 19, I grew breasts! Like they were plants someone had finally remembered to water. I spent hours alone, jumping up and down in front of the bathroom mirror to see them bounce. Beyond that, I didn't enjoy them much. After a few days of bouncing, I enrolled in women's studies and quickly grew hair all over my body to camouflage my breasts. But by the time I got the tits T-shirt, I was waxing, shaving, electrolysizing, and naring myself into a cocky smoothness. I'd wear the shirt to parties, pointing at the bananas, the mailbags, the mud flaps. Check out these ugly tits, I'd say, puffing out my perfect cantaloupes. Yes, I was an asshole. But come on, mail bags, mud flaps, those could never happen to me. Those happened to ugly old she-males like my great-grandma Gertie. She had to shave her face. They happened to weird hippie ladies like my mother, who breastfed my little brother until he was 5. That's why their boobs look like kielbasa that had been run over by a steamroller. It is kind of fun to say horrible things about boobs. So anyway, I was an asshole. Then I got pregnant. Then I had my first baby. Then my milk came in. And for almost a year, milk poured out of my motorcycle helmets nonstop. I stuffed my bra with dish towels, and still I couldn't leave the house for fear of soaking through my winter coat. When I nursed my son, he choked on it. Imagine giving a blowjob to a guy who shoots a bucket full of cum all at once. You choke too! Hey, if not, you're a better man than I. Anyway, my son had the worst case of colic our pediatrician had ever seen. I don't envy you, he told me over my son's nonstop wail. Yes, I picked the French pediatrician because he was laissez-faire about vaccination schedules. I fell for that hippie shit too. There is nothing you can do, he said, except cut out all rich, delicious foods from your diet. Maybe. We'll see. His hand smelled like pate. I fucking hated him. Nobody told me breastfeeding would be like this. Spraying, burping, farting, brapping, vomiting, screaming, yellow diarrhea shooting out of my son's ass onto a wall 10 feet away. Everything I'd heard about it was that it was a peaceful, gentle suckling on that. Creates a mother-child bond and improves SAT scores. And if you don't do it, your child will be dumb, sickly, despondent, rashy, tubercular, and precede you to the grave. And then wouldn't you feel terrible, you selfish, vain woman who refused your own child any real chance at life? Well, I became a lactating martyr. But I was a bad martyr. I was secretly resentful, and thus I would never get into heaven. The whole experience was enough to turn me off having another kid, because as any good mother knows, formula is poison, and I couldn't have another child unless I breastfed. Then I got pregnant again. From fucking. I had to breastfeed this baby, right? Especially because I found out it was a girl. How could I breastfeed my son and not my daughter? How could I raise his IQ points and with my magical boob juice and keep her retarded? Chances are she would be an endomorph like me and her father, and not a willowy waif. She would need brains to get ahead in this world. I prayed for some god, any god, all the gods I don't believe in, like Yahweh and Allah and Ganesh and Gaia, and the one I do, the god who keeps airplanes from crashing, to slow my choking gush of breast milk to a pleasant, life-sustaining trickle. Right from the start, breastfeeding my daughter felt wrong. Not because I had too much milk. No, not because it was gay. My milk wasn't shooting out like a fire hose, though I had plenty of it. It's just that this time around, half of it appeared to be blood. Now, that might work great for a newborn vampire, but not a human baby. When I burped my daughter, blood ran down her chin, and she grinned at me like a baby Gene Simmons. Have you ever seen your kid spit up your own blood? I know, it sounds totally rock and roll. But trust me, it was unsettling. I tried to rationalize for a couple of weeks, thinking, well, maybe she's getting some extra protein in there. The same thing you say when you accidentally eat a bug. But eventually, I couldn't go along with it anymore. For one thing, one of my nipples was gone. And for another thing, well, that's pretty much it. More than enough, really. One of my nipples was gone. And the other one was holding on for dear life. So, instead of giving up, like any sane person would do, I assumed I was doing something wrong. I worked my way up the chain of lactation consultants, yes, they exist, until I found myself in a converted garage with the woman who claimed to have invented the profession of lactation consultant. "Go on, sit down," she said, motioning me towards a pile of cushions. "It's $400 for the consult. I hope you don't mind, but I need to finish my lunch, just a little whitefish sandwich. And I might have to take some calls during the session because I'm auctioning off my dead sister's priceless collection of Judith Lieber handbags." I liked her style. Matter of fact and no nonsense. She must really know her shit. "Well," I began calmly, and then I started to cry. "I nursed my son for 2 years with no problems, but now with my daughter, there's so much blood, mouth like a cheese grater. Oh." "Show him to me," she said. She licked the crumbs off her fingers and pulled up my shirt and flipped down my nursing bra. "Oh," she said, exhaling a warm whitefish vapor over my monoloas. "Oh, Christ." She crooked a thumb at my daughter. "Let's see what we're dealing with over here with this one." She took a finger cot, which looks like a teeny little rubber condom just for your finger, and snapped it on the tip of her long, probably false fingernail. And she inserted it into my daughter's mouth and felt around, like looking to the side, like a safe cracker. "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy." What? I said. She pulled out her finger and snapped off the rubber. "What we got here is an abnormally hard palate. It's very long. So you see your nipple's been whacking against her hard palate like a stucco wall, just shredding your nipple." "But my nipple," I said, "it's missing." What if she ate it? "Ate what?" she said, taking a bite of her sandwich. "Oh, the nipple? Don't worry, it's just a little extra protein." "Well," I said, "will it grow back?" "What? The nipple?" She said, "Yeah, probably. Who cares?" That's the attitude, I thought. How silly and selfish of me to care about a lost nipple. I mean, there are starving children in India. She polished off her sandwich and wiped her hands on her thighs, and then she pulled something out of the piano bench next to us. No piano, just piano bench. "Now here's what you got to do for the next 2 to 4 months. You see this?" She held up a little oral syringe with a curved tip on it. It looked like a hummingbird beak. "Every 2 hours, you'll pump your milk, and then you'll feed the baby with this syringe 1 drop at a time, sticking your finger down the throat alongside it to get past the hard palate to teach her to suck harder. Suck harder. Each feed will take about an hour. In a few months, when she goes back on the breast, she'll be pulling your nipple farther back in her throat. It's called suck training, and it's your only option." "Oh," I said, mentally calculating an extremely depressing timetable. "Does it work?" About 10 to 40% of the time. "But you got to be committed." "But," I said, sliding off the cushion, "I have another kid. He's 4. When will I be with him or talk to him? And when will I sleep?" She pointed at me with the same index finger she'd used to probe my daughter's mouth. A flake of whitefish clung to the long nail. "Is your sleep more important than this baby's health? Your other kid'll get over it, especially when he's older and he understands the science of breast milk." "But it's her palate that's the problem, right?" I said. "What if I just pump and I feed her some breast milk out of the bottle?" "Oh, go ahead, do that, if you don't want to bond properly. If you want a buck-toothed kid and have to pay an orthodontist thousands of dollars 4 to 10 years down the road." Everything's 4 to 10, multiples of 4 to 10. The phone on her desk rang. "Oh, I got to take this call. It might be about my dead sister's priceless handbags." I looked at my daughter, sleeping in her car seat, so tiny and pink and innocent. She couldn't help it if she was born with the Berlin Wall in the back of her throat. Maybe she got it from me. I have an overly sensitive gag reflex. Don't ask me how I know. "Well, hello yourself. You the collector on the East Coast?" "No, I'm not busy at all." "So you're interested in the bag shaped like a pickle?" "Well, I got the whole veggie collection. Maybe I'll throw in the eggplant to sweeten the deal." A cold draft blew in through the open garage door. across my still exposed breasts, raising my scabby yarmulkes into painful party hats. I hiked my bra up and my shirt down. I had one of those revelations, the kind where you realize that the person you'd assume knew better than you, the guru that you thought would reveal all the answers, is in fact not only full of horseshit, but also fucking out of her mind. I left a check for $400 on the piano bench. I took my baby home. I hooked myself up to the breast pump. I fed her bottles, and I thrilled to the sight of my fucking nipples growing back. Who wouldn't? I was self-regenerating, self-repairing, like the Iron Giant. Proud, in a new way. Not because these milk jugs don't sag, but because they don't sag more. Who cares? I do, lady. What type of titties have I got? Superdomes, post-Katrina. They shouldn't be on the t-shirt. Well, they're not on the t-shirt, but they should be on the t-shirt. So there.
Men are all right, but girls have boobs and hips. She's a lipstick, heterosexual, a straight girl, a cultured pearl, a virtual model of decency till recently.
I call this The Reckoning, Part 6, 6, 6. As I listen to Bach's cello pieces by Yo-Yo Ma, I think that I am going crazy. I am thinking of reading Edgar Allan Poe at Ralph's Supermarket in Studio City. Just going into aisle 6 and standing there shouting out the hideous heartbeat to the people trying to stretch their dollars at Ralph's. I want to take my craziness to the centers of capitalism. I want to go where people shop, supermarkets, drugstores, dry cleaners, restaurants, and let them know that I was once one of them, holding it together, paying bills, maintaining relationships, buying things, but that now I just read the classics aloud in a frightening yet entertaining way. Who says that Americans are powerless, that we are disconnected from each other, isolated in fear and gated communities, the polarization of wealth, the polarization of compassion and cruelty growing? I am finally crazy, losing touch with reality and sinking into a searing depression that pins me to my bed, hallucinating that the radio is speaking my name, that I am possessed by the devil. But I have a 3 o'clock today at Fox Studios. I am reading for a 2-line part on How I Met Your Mother. I think I can help it with the help of medicine and encouragement. It is the part of a cabbie. If I get the part, I may be able to afford the best in psychiatric care. I put on pants and hurry out the door, spinning in a reality only known to character actors who grew up in bad families. I make it to my '88 BMW and turn the key. The brakes are not working well. I am going to Fox, and I am going to nail this part. I am early, so I stop at Ralph's to read a couple of Poe's short pieces near the ice cream section. I get hustled out of the store by a security guard who, not surprisingly, looks worse than me. I suggest to him that we read on buses together. Me doing the classics and him just reading from his journal. He says he doesn't keep a journal. And he throws me out of Ralph's with a mighty heave. I get back in my old reliable Beamer, Arnie I call him, heading to the west side. I have my lines memorized as the radio keeps telling me it's going to kill me. I am still early for the audition after getting thrown out of Ralph's, so I go into a gas station and cry in front of the pumps. People think I'm crying about the price of gas. As I scream, it's too high. When will it come down? But I am really talking about my levitating grandma in my mind. I pull myself together and go to the Fox lot. I feel very confident about the audition as the gas station episode has calmed me down. I stride into the casting office realizing that I am shirtless. My bare chest, extremely inappropriate in a professional environment, such as the Fox casting office for a show that has nothing whatsoever to say about the deepening despair coming over the middle and working classes of America. But it's a diversion, I guess, for folks in the heartland. I am greeted with harsh reprisals about my chest. Why don't you work out more is the first thing I hear. Then, how come you don't have any tattoos, sir? Why don't you pierce your nipples, says another actor, waiting for the cabbie part. I am speechless as I get tasered by the Fox security. And told to come back when I have a shirt. I shuffle off, call my agent, tell him I forgot to put on a shirt. He drops me from his client roster and promises to have me killed if I ever call him again. Man, I need to do some breathing exercises, as this day is turning out bad. But instead of doing breathing exercises, I fall to my knees and beg for mercy from an unseen God, from an unseen hand, from the invisible, silent void from which we all come. I do this silently so as not to attract too much attention to myself. After I implore the heavens, I decide to drive until my head clears up. I am now in a state I like to call scared and lonely. I drive to my mother's gravesite. She was buried beneath a billboard on La Cienega and Melrose. The billboard says, "No money to bury your mother? Why not bury her right here?" I get out and say out loud to her ghost, "Mommy, when does it get better?" There is no answer, and a cop chases me back into my car. I think I will drive this car through the window of a fast food place, thereby making a statement on the factory farming of animals and corporate evil. But instead, I decide to drive a dozen donuts into my mouth. They taste so good. The sweet, floury bread taming the voices in my head for a moment. I leave Winchell's Donut House and thank them for the sugar, and I notice I have put on weight. So I drive to a 12-step group dealing with compulsive eating, overeating. It is a well-attended meeting with a damn nice lead speaker talking about her journey through the treacherous world of food. I wait till she finishes before I offer everyone a donut. I am attacked by a large man who says I am the opposite of what recovery is about. As I fly down the steps, I say, I need help, and you suck for not understanding that I am sicker than you. This gives him pause, and he gives me his card and tells me to call him, but that I must leave the meeting. I get out into the street and call the aforesaid recovering food addict. I just scream into his phone, pick up, pick up! Before telling him he has let me down for the last time. I realize that I need to get it together. I have been careening from one disaster to another, so I call my shrink with the last minutes left on my prepaid phone card. I tell him I am creating disturbances in the LA County area. And he tells me how fast can I get to his office. Before he hangs up, I am in his office as I was calling from across the street. He is startled by the speed in which I want to get better. And he says, come in. I lay down on his couch and take a tissue. I start crying about my childhood, the distance between me and my mom, the penchant of the Yankees blowing late inning leads ever since Mariano went down, and violence in Greece. He writes me a prescription for beta fuck myself zone, and I leave. But I throw the prescription away as I come back to myself. I start to get peaceful as I realize I am going to be all right, that I have always been all right. I am a great comedian, a great artist who is inspired by all the hell and trouble in the world. I realize the beauty too. I realize that God, the great goodness that is in everybody, is in me as well. I put aside my ridiculous Hollywood ambitions and relax. I see that I am my own worst enemy. We all suffer. We all triumph. We all fail beautifully.
Waking up to go to work just plain sucks. I write naughty songs that should earn me big bucks. Employment interferes with my need for sleep. I just want to punch out that time clock and make some art that's really deep. Yeah, why do I have to have a job? Why, oh, why? You can exploit my magic powers. Just don't try and pay me by the hour. Pay me for what I do, and it loses its charm. Hire me to pitch baseball, and I go numb in both arms. Yeah, why? pledge allegiance to this capitalist nation. The richest land upon this earth must provide allocation to give a girl the freedom to pursue her highest goal. I pledge never to miss one General Hospital episode. Oh, say I do not see why I should have to earn my keep. I have a right to highlights in my hair and suede boots on my feet. I keep America more beautiful than the amber waving crops. My public service is my taste in pink rhinestone tube tops. In God we trust, this country must provide to us more than a crust of Wonder Bread. I will not be spoon-fed the blue, white, and red. I kick the pilgrims in the head! Here is my patriotic